All right, good evening, everyone. We have an outdoorsman here, and we're gonna bring on NoName Tapper again. He's from Iowa. Some of you guys were on here the other night, and we I was on my Facebook page. It cut out on us, so we're just gonna go ahead, start from the top again, and we're gonna go over the pros and cons and some of the, I guess, heartaches that some of us have during ADC trapping. It's not always fun, and um, it is a lot of work and it's hot. So, all right, here we go. This is No Name Trapper here, Logan Exline from Iowa.
Hey everybody.
Um, Jim Springer's on here. What's up, buddy?
Hey
Um,
Phil.
we we started off the other night. I was on a skunk job. I was stuck for a couple days. Couldn't figure out what I was doing wrong. Everything was blocked off, and in all reality, I wasn't doing anything wrong. But I talked to Logan pretty regularly, and if I do have problems, I do reach out to people. I don't hesitate. I'm not one of them guys who sits here and tells everybody I know everything, but um, Logan talked to me about switching baits and just making sure everything's completely fenced off where nothing can get out. And that was the subject we brought up was the fact of ADC baits and normal trapping bait and lure. And we'll go into that. What's your take on that?
My opinion on that is everybody wants to sell baits or lures nowadays, and that's fine and dandy. But unless they do nuisance work or have some background in nuisance work, I tend to stay away from that product. Anybody can slap a label on it and call it what they want, but at the end of the day, it's had to either been proven or I make it up myself to fit the job and what I want for that job. So just because it's a big name doesn't necessarily mean it's been tested and proven in the nuisance world sometimes. So
Yeah,
uh,
and that is very true. And honestly, I kind of take that maybe a little too far sometimes. But even if somebody has a big name, it doesn't mean everything they sell works for you. There's a lot of areas where things do change up. I've used baits in areas and never caught a coyote in an area and switched and connect, but it's the same maker, same bait maker, and it happens. Some things they shy away from things, and it's very common.
and also, I mean, what time of the year is it? What's that animal feeling at that time? I feel like that comes into play, especially in nuisance work, because I mean, at fur bearing season, the predators tend or everything tends to want uh, pretty much what we all know they want. Where in the summer they may want something different, or you may have to mix it up, or yeah, lots of fruits and sweets in the summer. I mean, I caught a red fox in a DP this summer, and everybody's like, "Well, were you running cat food?" No, I wasn't. Were you running meat? No, I wasn't. I was
No.
running nuts and berries and Dale Billingsley's Red Diamond number 2. And I talked to him, and it has no meat in it. It's a sweet only. So, that red fox wanted something sweet.
Yeah.
Don't we all?
Yeah, and actually that's a good thing to take there. um, Even for some of you guys who you might trap your deer lease or anything like that. I have I have mixed persimmons in with some of my regular meat based baits to entice them a little bit in the summer times, um, just to pick up coyotes. The fruity smells, or persimmon is a little pungent after a while. Actually, if they sit out for a little bit, you can actually smell them from pretty far away, and it does catch their attention. But another thing I want to go over that we talked about was double door and single door traps. The pros and cons of that. I know you brought it up to me the other day, like, hey, use a double door, make it look like a tunnel so that they don't feel like they are stuck. So
So you want some feedback on that, on kind of on my thoughts on that, probably.
yeah.
So with a single door, they can see the screen in the back, right? With a double door trap, you can really make that whole thing look like it's just a natural tunnel. I mean, they're used to, hugging the edge of stuff, going under stacks of 2x4s with like skunks, raccoons, stuff like that. And so if you can make them think that that's just a walk-through tunnel, it just opens the game up, and I feel like my catch rate at least goes up in those scenarios with double door traps. They're a huge asset on my line. I love them for skunks. I love them for raccoon, even sometimes red fox in certain situations. I feel like as an ADC trapper, it's hard because you have to have such a variety of cages. Because I've got a bunch of single doors too. I've got double doors. I've got different sizes. I've got different styles. When you step into the ADC world and start doing damage control, I would really suggest doing your homework, deciding what animals you want to target, because some of them you may not want to do. I hate doing bats. Yeah. And if I get one more freaking bat call this week, I'm going to lose my damn mind. I hate doing bats, but they pay so good, so I keep saying, yeah. But you guys, it's very important. Pick which animals you want to do, because you may not want to do bats. You may just want to do, like I would love to just do coyotes and raccoon, but I'm doing groundhog, I'm doing moles, I'm doing raccoon, I'm doing bats, I'm doing anything and everything. But make sure you have your arsenal in advance. Don't be the guy who's steps into ADC work and's like, oh shit, I only had one cage trap.
Yeah, and that's I had a guy message me the other day, and I know that his work, I know the owner of his job or whatever was about to pass away, and he asked me the other day, like, hey, do you need any help? And I was like, yeah, I could use you once in a while. Like, I'm not gonna be like, here's a full-time job. But we got to talking, and I was like, yeah, I'm like, I got, I probably got over or close to $3,000 worth of cage traps. And he was like, oh my God. And I was like, well, yeah. I'm like, don't get me wrong, some of them might be from Walmart. I was like, but I've steered away from that after a while. I'm like, I've watched groundhogs, I've watched raccoons rip the cages apart and leave, And he was like, oh, and I'm like, so that's another reason that things cost as much as they do. Like, people don't understand, the pricing on the jobs, and that's another thing we're going to go over. But
can I throw in a comment, kind of going with what you're saying real quick? Pricing on cages is very important. You get what you pay for, like Tucker's talking about. I bought cheap brands as well, Tucker. It's not necessarily a mistake. Yeah, they get tore to shreds pretty good sometimes. But what's nice, and I was talking with Bruce Rhodes about this, he says it's nice to have some cheaper traps. That way, if you're in a high theft area, you don't want to put a Comstock cage and risk, somebody walking away with $150 worth of cage right there. And so it doesn't hurt to have those cheap ones. Just make sure you got the quality ones for when you need them. And
actually, I've taken a bunch of mine and I've tack welded all the joints on my box traps, and it has helped so far as I know. Maybe they're just not aggressive lately, but I haven't had any problems. But roof wise, setting cage traps on top of roofs and so on and so forth, I know there's 1,000 different items out there. You can buy clips to mount them on a roof and so on. But I don't always do that. I'll find a place where I can level the trap off and keep it sturdy to that point. I've screwed 2x4s together and held them to the trap, and I like using cheaper traps up there. For one of my tomahawks or my Comstocks to roll off the top of somebody's roof and just get mangled, it is a sore subject for me because it has happened. Um, but yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that go into this that people don't understand, and I'm not always trying to catch the animal either. There's a lot of times that I just, I find a way to get the animal out and exclude it. Um, it's not always I'm going in there to get this thing and get it out, but I have, they make your gland lures and such to put up there to scare or push out your coon, and I mean that's my first step. What is bringing that animal there? And then take care of that situation first.
I want to add with cage traps, I noticed to calm the animal down, sometimes if you panic, the animal will tend to panic more in a smaller cage trap than in a bigger one if it has more room to wander around. So that can kind of help. Also, a cover over the top can kind of help them calm down. But yeah, and to go along with what you were saying, Tucker, I've done so. I've used traps actually on educated animals just as the deterrent itself. Like the trap is for them to look at and say, "Oh hell no,
yeah,
oh hell no, I'm going this way," and then I'll have a foothold buried there or something like that. I have literally taken those educated animals and just left something stupid there, so they see it and focus on it, and they're like, "Yeah, you ain't getting me," and then they take a step the other way, and they're like, "Oh shit," you know. So you can do that too, and that kind of goes along with what you were saying there. The key is to get the animal out, whatever means it takes.
Yeah.
And you and I were talking about pricing and stuff like that. And I feel like what you did with that skunk job, sometimes you have to go in and get that animal. That's why, like I told you, I always carry gloves and a catch pole, heavy duty gloves and a catch pole in the truck. And I'm sure you do the same. And that way, if you can't trap the animal, because there's certain times where you just got to grab the sucker.
Yeah.
No matter what kind of animal it is, just hope for the best.
Yeah.
I'm a professional. Stand back, and you're like, But yeah, it's a unique deal. There's a lot that goes into it, and it's you never stop learning. That's where it's like fur bearing trapping. There's always more to learn.
Yeah, and one thing that we talked about on the phone the other night was, as an ADC trapper, it does make you a better fur trapper, and the reasons being is, as a fur trapper, we want to lure the animal to us, and in ADC trapping, we move to the animal. I mean, let's get as close as we can, and he has no option but to go in. And that's a big thing. Like, a lot of people don't look at it from that perspective. And the point of how do I want to say this? I guess, well, let's go to the foot trap and dog proof scenario. They say you're 80-20 on your dog proofs. They always say you're 80-20. You'll catch the 80% and miss the 20.
Yeah.
And if you want to be a good trapper or a damn good trapper, you want that 100%. So bringing that into the ADC world, you don't have an option. Like, you have to get every one. There's no we got one or two out, but there's still four there, we're leaving. Like, it don't work that way. So that's another thing that has gradually made me better as a fur trapper.
It's a process too. Like trying to get that 100%. Those, some of them, you think you know a lot, and if you walk into it cocky, you're gonna get your ass kicked on it
Yeah.
because we none of us know as much as we think we do, and those animals will sure teach us real freaking quick how stupid we are, and it's a different ball game. And you and I had kind of talked about pricing there, and I wanted to make sure that we recovered. You and I talked about how we want to make sure we covered it again in this live. When you price a job, I do a setup fee up front, and that's in case this person tries to stiff me on the bill at the back end. Then at least I know my initial costs are covered if they don't pay the. I'm still a gamble on the remainder of the bill, but at least I know I didn't lose money. Now,
Yeah.
with that being said, we're contractors. There's the chance they stiff us on the end of the bill. And with wildlife, like you and I've talked about, there's a chance that the wildlife don't play ball like we want them to. This isn't. It's never a freaking guarantee. We want the animals to do what we want them to, but they may not do what we
Yeah.
want. So then you're on a timer, and like you said with that skunk job, like I'm going to start losing money. So you just you made the decision and you went in after him because let's be honest, who wants to go do all that work and not make any freaking money?
Yeah, I'd buy lottery tickets if I wanted to lose money.
That's right. That's right. And yeah, and that's an important part of it is you start losing money. But I also told you somebody, I can't remember who taught me that, but it was a professional ADC trapper, and he said if you lose money on a job, you can't get, like, no point in getting mad, because what you've done is you've learned.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully you took away, like, I screwed up this time. And so you can't just sit there and get mad. You need to honor the job and finish the job the best you can. And then the next time, price it better, or a different way to make sure that you're not losing. But you can't just get mad and shut down and be like, no, I quit. I'm losing money, because that's what's going to kill your reputation. And reputation is key in any industry, especially damage control.
Yeah. And speaking on the pricing, I'm not going to get into exact numbers, but we I've talked to ADC trappers, not exactly within 45 minutes of me, but 2 hours or so, and then talking to you and talking to some of these guys out west, and it's crazy, the price difference. And I could tell people a price around here and they'd look at me and be like, you're nuts. But I've also been to jobs where people are like, I don't even care, like, it needs to go. I need this out of here. And I don't really try. I don't try to change my prices. Whether you're desperate or not, I'm not going to change my price. But it's just crazy, like the I guess pay cut I take sometimes, because I'm not in near the city, nowhere near. I mean, it's 40 minutes for me to get into the city, and that is where most of your jobs are. That's where most of your bigger jobs are going to be at, because honest to God, if my neighbor has a raccoon, he's not calling me. He's gonna go up there and get it himself. Like, that's just how it is. So the number of jobs are cut down, so your price is cut down.
And Bruce Rhodes did a good conversation at his convention where we were talking about pricing, and it is highly based on your area. Areas vary, and, like, I'm not near the city either, so I can't charge city prices. Now, with that being said, you don't always want to get every job that you bid. If you're getting every job, the guys in that demo that I talked to, they said your price is too low. If
Mm-hmm.
you're getting every job every time, your price is too low. If you're not getting any jobs, you're too high. So
Yeah.
the key is to find that happy medium in your area and understand your worth, and you're going to have people say no. And
Yeah.
Tucker, I don't know if you've experienced this, but I sure have. And damage control, they don't care how good of a trapper you are in the fur bearing world. They
Mm-hmm.
don't give two craps. Like people I've been talked to like I was a janitor at McDonald's, right? Because they didn't give a crap that I was a good trapper, in the fur bearing industry. And they just, I don't give a crap. Are you doing the job here?
Yeah.
Then they don't care about reputation. So you got to put your pride aside,
Yeah.
and but you got to be confident too. It's a weird deal. It's a
It
weird
is.
deal. Confident but not cocky, and willing to be talked to like a janitor.
Yeah. See now I might be a different person than most, and I honestly around here I know for a fact I am, because there's a lot of jobs that I get calls for, and I'm like, oh well, so and so's up this way, call them, you know. But I never get the same deal, you know. I don't have people calling me like, hey, so and so referred you, and
Hmm.
it don't bother me. I mean, I'm not looking for it, but this like honestly in the last 2 weeks I've had probably 5 or 6 calls from over 2 hours away, and I'm like, hey, I can't, like, I personally just can't do it, or I'm going to be charging you so much that you're going to be like, this is ridiculous. So I've passed them on, or I'll post in my group on Facebook and see if anybody's near that area, or Ohio State Trappers Association. I'll post in their Facebook page and see if anybody wants it. But um, I mean, that's another big thing is I don't try to cut everybody out. I'm not that guy. But even honestly, if I had a big job that I didn't feel like I could work myself, I would call one of these guys and be like, "Hey, do you want to come down and help me do this?" Like I mean, sometimes I need the help, and it is what it is.
There's nothing to be ashamed of with that. I've done the same thing as you, Tucker. I've handed off jobs that were over my head, where I didn't have the time or the knowledge or the resources to back the job, and I've had the same thing. Like, this is way outside of my territory. Like, I think it's good to be a good neighbor in the
Yeah.
ADC world too. You and I don't have a fleet of trucks and 20 guys, so we,
I
some
wish.
people, yeah, that'd be, well, I don't know if I want that much responsibility. But yeah, some guys do. Some guys and gals have that,
Yeah.
and you and I don't. We're just, we're doing it, help people out, some extra side money, and to learn. I think you and I kind of crave the
Yeah.
same stuff there.
That's my big thing is I honestly just enjoy doing it.
Mhm.
It's fun to me. Now the exclusion work, I'm like, oh my, this feels like a job, but um, I do. It's just something that I enjoy doing. Like I had a guy ask me the other day, like, what made you do this? I'm like,
Mm.
it's just fun to me. Like I really enjoy it. And like every day that animal gets by me, I'm like, okay, now something's got to give here. Like I'm not losing every day. Don't-
Sometimes I enjoy the challenge, and some days I'm like, I ain't got time for this shit, dude. Like, get in the trap, you freaking groundhog.
yeah,
Come on, you're a groundhog. Step in the damn trap, and
yeah,
you know.
yeah.
Um, but do we have any people asking questions? I can't see that,
Oh,
Tucker.
you didn't see them pulling up.
No.
I didn't have any questions. Just Mr. Springer's on here. Earlier he just said, "Screw the bats," and
Yeah,
he said, "Always price it higher, and you can always go lower if need be."
that's true. That's
And
true.
so I wanted to talk. I will talk about that a little bit. So many people know that I did tree work for a long time, and honestly, I did it on the side. I honestly had a business doing it, And I always I always try to tell people there's a difference between a quote and an estimate. Now, I can quote you a job and that is exactly what it's going to be, or I can estimate it. And
Mhm.
um sometimes you just run into things, sometimes there's troubles, and it's not your doing, it's not their doing, but it's just something else that came up along the line that makes it cost more or so on. And I try to explain that to people. And so lately, honestly, when I get a job and I figure everything out, animal wise, I don't change anything. Prices are same, so on and so forth, mileage, whatever. But the exclusion work, when I'm doing it, sometimes I'm like, uh, I just I'll add $100 on there, and if I need to, I'll take it off at the end. But I've never overcharged anybody. But I have cut prices down because I've bid it higher just in case I needed it.
I To go along with that, sometimes I don't like doing the exclusion work. I'm kind of like you. I'm like, oh shit. And so what I'll do is I do some basic exclusion work, and then everybody else, I'll remove the animal, and either I'll do like screw a piece of plywood there to cover a hole or something. But I'm like, this is temporary. You need to hire somebody to finish this. I charged you $20 to put a piece of plywood over it, right? Like, so just to keep that raccoon or whatever from getting back in there, it won't because it took its last trip, but
Yeah.
but to keep any other raccoon from getting in there, and I'm like, but you need to follow up with a contractor because I don't warranty any of my work. It's just spray foam, plywood, screen, stuff like that. Basics. Because I
See,
don't like to mess with that stuff. It
so
takes too much time for me.
I sent you some pictures the other day on that squirrel job, and um, see, they heard something in the attic, and I went there. It was nothing big, you could tell. I went through the whole attic, checked everything out. Nothing was in there anymore. So I went ahead, did the exclusion work, and um, I mean, they had the ductwork pulled apart and everything like that. So I marked everything down, took pictures of everything, showed them, and I mean, I just came home. I sat down, sat here, wrote everything down, figured out what all I needed, and priced it out. And it's all I'm doing right now. So I went and I did the exclusion work, and I wanted the guy. I was like, "Hey, do you want to go up and look at everything?" And he's like, "No." And I'm like, in a way, it makes you feel good. Like, hey, I mean, we trust you that everything's done. But
Yeah.
I just like to show everybody what I've done so that they know, like, hey, if something's moved, they know that it was from me or from something else.
You're a good mechanic, right? Like somebody brings you the car for an oil change, you're not like, hey, I swapped out the motor, so you know,
Yeah, by the way, it's going to cost you $7,000 for your oil change.
yeah, you tell, and that is very important, buddy. I agree with you 100%. And if I have the time, I'm kind of like you. If I have extra time and not a lot of work going on, I don't mind doing some exclusion work. But man, when you got like right now, I'm just slammed. So I'm like, you know, here's a contractor.
Yeah, yeah. Um, Anthony Rubio Outdoors said, "Hey guys, how are you?"
What's up, Anthony?
And Mr. Springer says, "I do a lot of repair work for people."
He
There you
he
go. There's
does.
your next contractor.
Yeah, if Jim wasn't so far, he'd be getting a phone call every job I had. Yeah, he does a lot of that stuff, a lot more than me, and I'd be like, yeah, this guy's your guy.
Yeah,
I
and
just,
I've actually liked doing it. It's almost like it teaches you other trades along the way.
yeah,
Just simple stuff. Redoing siding and some roof repairs. I did do a bunch of caps on stuff the other day, boiler caps, and I changed all the caps out and put fully screened caps in everything. And I don't know. It's just something different every day. I'm not at work doing the same thing repetitively. It gets old to me.
Well, and it's nice being your own boss too. It really is. I mean, it's nice, but at the same time, I don't know. I told my wife it's nice, but then I got some client here and there that's like, "Hey, you're my bitch." So I mean, it's got its pros and cons, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, you can walk away from it, or you can play the ass kiss game. But then there's some clients I've walked away from, clients that were just disrespectful pricks that weren't easy to work with.
Yeah.
And I've overbid jobs. I overbid a job. It was a ground squirrel job, and I love ground squirrel jobs because they're like pretty easy for me. And but the lady was just a witch. Like I knew it was going to be trouble dealing with her.
Yeah.
And she didn't want to pay a lot, and blah blah blah. So I overbid it on purpose, just because I didn't want the damn thing.
Jim said he thought that you were his bitch. He said, he said, "Hey, Logan, I thought you was mine."
What you pay?
This is why we had to do the live again, because he fucked it up last time. That's what I told him. I told him it was his fault.
Yeah. Well, in your own defense, there I was driving from the hills near Missouri, couldn't get reception for shit, trying to get a hold of you.
Yeah, like I said, I have horrible service every once in a while out in my garage, and it just cuts out on me. But I don't know what happened.
Yeah, I understand that. Yeah, it's animal damage control is just it's fur bearing trapping. You can take some good knowledge from that and put it into animal damage control, but to be honest, there's quite a difference.
Yeah,
Wouldn't you say, Tucker? I mean,
there's a big difference sometimes, and a lot of the times it's just, honestly, a few little things, and sometimes it's a lot different. And I have learned that along the way. There's definitely jobs that I veer away from due to I know how hard it's going to be, and I'm just like, yeah, like it ain't for me. But overall, I do like doing ADC work. I am way more of a fur bearing trapper than I am an ADC trapper. But I do like it, and honestly, if things pick up over the next year or so, it's probably all I'll be doing.
it's interesting. I had a beaver job, a relocation beaver job I did this summer, and I almost didn't accept it. I thought in my mind for 1 second, why should I accept this? It's going to be a pain in the ass. It's more of a risk for my reputation. And then my trapping side came through, and I was like, screw it, I got this. It's going to be fun. I'm going to challenge myself. So I did a beaver relocation job, and I got a lot of blowback from the fur-bearing trappers for that. But what they don't understand is when you relocate beaver from one area to another, and you have a arrangement with that farmer for later on.
Yeah.
I made a lot of money on that, and that helped build my animal damage control reputation because some high-end people were involved in that job. And then I really hated to turn one down the summer. I wanted this job, but it was a red fox job, catching chickens, right? And I wanted it, but it was a drive. So I had to bid it a little high just because of the drive. Well, they chose to go with somebody else, and I understood that, but I wanted the challenge of it. So, some of those jobs can make you look like a fool pretty quick, but sometimes I just crave that challenge.
Well, I had a call the other day. It was about 2 hours and 40 minutes away, and when they first told me where they were at, I was like, I don't want it. But I sat there and I talked to him on the phone for a minute. It was in city limits, no foot traps, no snares, all cage traps,
Mm-hmm.
coyotes getting chickens. And I was like, man, I was like, I want to take it. I just want to be like, yeah, I'll do it, you know. But
Mhm.
and I told them the same thing. I'm like, you know, we're looking, honest to God. I was gonna. I mean, we were gonna be looking at about 1,300 a week, and
Yeah.
I told them, you know, like, hey, this is this might not be a 5 day thing. Like we could be looking at 2 weeks, and reason being, I mean, as most of us know, as fur bearing trappers, you're not getting every coyote in one night. It's not happening.
And especially in a
And
cage.
number two, persuading this thing to go into a cage. But I wanted it. I wanted it bad, and I told them to, you know, I told them a price, and they either decided they were okay with their chickens dying or they found somebody else. But I mean, I
But
thought that one was going to be a fun job. It was going to be difficult, and I wanted to take it on.
and see, some of them are such a reputation risk that I try to use my brain, but then sometimes my trapping part of me comes through and is like, nah, you got this. And
Yeah,
you know, it's a tricky thing because like that job would have been fun to try to do, and then at the same time, what, you know, you could strike out and never catch a coyote in a cage trap at that place, because maybe those pups were just learning and their mother said, hey, let's go to a new area or whatever,
yeah, yeah,
and all of a sudden they paid you, you know, 2 weeks, $2,600, and
yeah,
you're like, I've got zilch.
yeah,
um, See, that's kind of hard, but at the same time, did you not do your job? You showed up, you tried everything you could.
yeah,
I honestly don't know that that's a necessarily a fail. So that's why sometimes I just got to say, hey, I won't take this job, or I'll bid it too high. Or, but man, it's sometimes them challenging jobs
yeah.
are
I
just
know.
so
Yeah, that's
fun.
what gets me going. The
Yeah,
challenge. And but I don't mind telling people either. Like, hey, look, this isn't easy. Like
yeah,
this might not happen at all. Like
yeah,
I'm gonna try my hand at it for you because you needed me, and
yeah,
and that's it.
yeah, yeah. That's the thing about animals is you can't guarantee the job. Like I've only had a couple jobs the entire time I've been doing damage control where I guaranteed the job. And basically, what I did was I told myself I'm going to stay on the job till I lose money if I have
Yeah,
to complete the job. And I got the jobs done, but I'm not going to guarantee you in the future because it's just you can't. The animal can leave. It can get like, let's say it's a beaver, it could get killed by a bobcat, and you're sitting there like, I ain't got it. You
yeah,
know,
yep,
sorry I didn't catch the beaver.
yeah.
So yeah, it's a tricky deal.
All righty. We'll go ahead and wrap this up here. I, I, I mean, we had a good conversation tonight. I was glad. There was a lot of questions that I know for a fact people asked me, and for anybody that's watching or anybody who decides to get on and watch, you know, everybody's welcome to email me or, you know, comment questions on the videos, and we can always come back and go over some of these questions that maybe we just missed, or just something that you had personally that you want to know. Um, I mean, I'm not. I'll get on here and tell you, hey, I don't know. That don't bother me at all. I don't know at all.
Tucker, you and I are here to help people, and we've talked about this before. We did this. This hopefully helps somebody out, and you're a good guy, and I try to be a good guy. And so, if anybody needs help, or even if they have some constructive feedback that we said something that wasn't, you know, that they had seen disproven, that's perfect too. You know, we can all learn from each other.
Yep. Um. Well, let's see. So just to throw this out there, you know, obviously, um, sponsored by Duke Traps. I do use a lot of Duke Traps on my lines, and whether it's animal damage control or and fur bearer trapping, and to let everybody know this, I'll be coming out with 2 new lures this year and a bait. I'll have a coyote bait, a coyote lure, and a beaver lure. And next week, we will be having Jason Vance on here. Everybody knows him from, I think it's Advanced Predator Control.
Advanced Predator Control.
Jason, he puts a hammer on the coyotes. He is a little farther west. He's out in Kansas. It's a little bit different story out there. And he's also a big beaver trapper in Maine. So it'll be good talking with him, bringing him on here. And same thing, if anybody has questions or wants anything brought up, just go ahead and let me know. And if anybody would like to come on and talk, if you have questions or just want to get on here and share some of your experiences with certain things, or no matter what it is, hey, this certain trap don't work for me in this area, anything like that. It helps me for sure, because I'm bouncing around a lot the next couple years from state to state, trapping some different areas. This year I'm coming up there with Logan for a few days, and
get over here, bitch. Let's have fun.
Yeah, let's see. Go up there, and Logan's gonna be like, "This guy don't even know how to trap. I don't even know what he's doing."
Day one, here's how you set a DP.
I said, as long as there's a fire and some beer, we'll be okay. But
we'll figure it out.
But yeah, if anybody has any questions, go ahead and let us know. Logan's usually pretty open with everybody. If anybody wants to message him through Facebook or whatever, and just keep on keeping on out there. Keep on watching our videos. We definitely have. I know Logan posts a bunch of stuff on TikTok, YouTube, and some stuff on Facebook. There, I try to keep up with my videos. It's hard to do all your videos by yourself, even making sets and stuff. I've actually bought some cameras this year to try to help me out, but
thank
I
God.
appreciate everybody getting on tonight, and thanks again, Logan. I was glad to have you on here, and
I appreciate it, Tucker, and thanks everybody for joining us. I hope you enjoyed the conversation.
Yep. I will see you guys Saturday. Thanks a lot, and I'm out.